Okay, so we're going to resume our journey here. Little point of interest beside the grade here, so piece of a telegraph pole. Again, lots of scattered ties and things. Here you can see a little bit different view of the bay. Again, different day, so the perspective in the view looks very different. The cliffs and stuff here are just absolutely gorgeous. All right, so we're coming up to another sort of major point on the line here. And this place is known as Cove Inlet. It's still called Cove Inlet. So essentially what happened here is this place actually has a long history. So it was established as a stop on the railway line back in 1924. So it appears on timetables as a place called Cox, C-O-X. And kind of right away to me, as soon as I heard Cox and I know this area and kind of know a little bit about the history, my mind immediately went to a guy by the name of Charlie Cox. And Charlie was one of the big sort of lumber and timbermen in the area at the time. And I kind of bounced that off fellow historian Edgar Lavoie, who does a lot of work in the Greenstone area here, and that's what he thought right away as well, that his mind kind of went to Charlie Cox right away. Before we move on, one of the things you're going to see again a lot of in this area is signage. And so what we have here is we have the flanger sign. So there is a crossing just up here, and so I'm guessing the flanger sign is for that crossing. Okay, so this Cox siding starts up in 1924, sticks around for a bunch of years until the 1930s, and then there's a few years, like 2, 3, 4 years, where it kind of disappears, and then eventually comes back in 1938. And what happens in 1938 is the Abitibi company, I think it's Abitibi Pulp and Paper. Abitibi company was around for many years. I'm sort of very familiar with the name, living in Thunder Bay and being the city being big in the pulp and paper industry. So what they do is they establish what is known as a marine base here, and you can see I don't know if these houses here are original, but some of these structures here look very familiar. And so if you click on the link in the description, I do have a page on Cove Inlet, and you can read more about the history of Cove Inlet and everything kind of to the south, the southern part here of Orient Bay, and you'll learn a little bit more about the Abitibi company, and you'll see pictures. And so for example, like that structure looks very familiar. It looks basically like one of the ones that would have been established here. So basically what the Abitibi company did was they established what's called the marine base here. And so what they would do is basically they would use this as kind of a docking point for their boats that would basically collect logs on parts of Lake Nipigon, and then raft them towards the Nipigon River and allow them to raft down the Nipigon River. And so again, this was as a result of that, it was a very busy place. And so there was a siding here. The siding kind of ran down over there. When we get over there, I'll sort of show you where the siding kind of ran down to. If you go to that page on Cove Inlet, you'll actually see a couple of pictures, kind of touristy pictures, so postcard pictures that were taken in the 60s or 70s, and you'll see pictures of this, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But you'll actually see more of the buildings, kind of more of what it originally looked like, and you'll see more of the spur. I think the spur is right there, and the spur was here up until the mid-70s, I believe, and again, very big and prominent. More stuff to see here. You can see this pipe, and we pointed one out earlier, and you can see how it's kind of got this, it's been pounded flat and it's got holes in it. So again, this would have been used for signage, so most likely that was kind of an old sort of flanger sign. And then we'll cross the road here. So after the Abitibi company got rid of this place, they shut it down. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but eventually it became, and you can see the sign there, this became Sandy's Cruiser Service. So it became kind of one of the lodges and kind of outfitters here, kind of boat launch, providing sort of boat services. There used to be a lot more activity on Lake Nipigon. There used to be like a commercial fishery and things like that. So places like here at Orient Bay used to be very big. Places like up at McDermott used to be sort of a big commercial fishing fleet. All of that has gone. All of that has disappeared. I don't believe there's any more commercial fishing that's happening on Lake Nipigon. You can see some of the legacy of that. You can see this big kind of boat there. What does that say? The Valerie J, the Valerie 1. I don't know, it's hard to read. It's the font is not easy to sort of decipher. So here we have yet more stuff. You can see that there's a fragment here of a it's either a Brookfield or a Hemingway insulator. We have a couple of old signage pipes, so like the one that we just saw, and then we have not one but two flanger signs. And so again, very, very busy today with all of the signage that we see on this section here. So again, the spur here for Cove Inlet would have started somewhere around here, and so would have ran down that way like that. And so it was a 13 car spur, and again, you can see the view here is just absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pause here for a moment and kind of reload, and then continue on our journey to the south. All right, let's get going here. Leave Cove Inlet behind. We got another stop coming up here in a second. You can see there's a little creek beside us. And so we have a culvert here, a concrete one. One of the things that you'll notice on this section here that we're doing today is no real markers on the culverts. There's only one that we've seen. It's not even like that you see them and you can't read them. There's none. So I don't know what was kind of going on there. All right, so we'll drop down and have a look. Okay, so we made our way down here on the east side. We're just a few feet down. So here you can see the culvert as the vehicles rush by. You can see the creek comes in on a bit of an angle. So what they've done here is you can see all the rock work that they've done here to channel the water into the culvert. It looks like it's about a 4-foot diameter culvert. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. I can see through the other side there. Doesn't look like there's any real issues or displacements or things like that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we'll hop the grade and go take a look at things on the other side. All right, so we made our way down here on the west side, and here you can see kind of the expanse of Orient Bay here. Just again, just gorgeous. So here we have this outlet of the culvert. It looks like it's about a 4-footer. I think we saw that on the other side. Again, looks like it's operating in pretty decent shape. Seems like the water's flowing through there pretty good, and there's a pretty decent flow. Okay, so we'll hop back up on the grade and keep moving our way to the south. Okay, let's resume our journey here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip you ahead a little bit, because if I don't, it's going to take forever. One of the things you'll notice as we're moving along here, you're going to see lots of these cribs for the telegraph poles. Just enjoy the beauty of the bay here. I have to come back here and just give you the view. Again, just absolutely gorgeous. I love this area. And again, I could see why they built a lodge by the station at Orient Bay, and why people were sort of attracted to this area. Again, you can see another one of the cribs from the telegraph poles. Okay, so we're gonna come across, now we can start hitting all of these little sort of access roads that come in. And so lots of little homes and things like that. So this is, I actually know the owner here, met him last year. So this is Jerry, great guy. And you can see some of the old industry that was here, all of the boats and such. And so here, I've already told you, this section is busy. I don't know what it is the last couple of days here. I've just been hitting the jackpot here with signage. So we have yet another flanger sign. And so the flanger sign is for the crossing that we just passed. And so we'll hop back on the bike here and continue going through a cut here. It's nice to kind of get away from the highway a little bit so I can hear myself think with all the traffic going by. So here there's another little part of the bay, and so this was another spot that was very big with a lot of the commercial activity. So the big dock that you see up there belonged to what was called Nighthawk Charters, and you can actually see the sign on the highway as you drive by. So here you can see culvert, double culvert, no marker again, and then over here you can see the crib for the telegraph pole. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about Nighthawk Charters in a second here. But I wanted to tell you this very interesting story. So sometimes you kind of, you know, things just kind of work out a little bit. And so there's a video out there, and I'll post a link to it. I'll put it on the screen and I'll put it in the description as well. And so here you can see a private crossing sign. So for this one here. And so this video is about a motor car excursion, and if you remember our first segment, we talked about the motor cars. So the little motor cars that they would have used to explore the line, and explore the line, to patrol the line. Very, very common in sort of the old days. Here you can see a piece of a telegraph pole. So what happened is when this line shut down in 2005, in the summer of 2005, in July of 2005, there is a motor car association. So there's people that own these motor cars, and they use them to kind of ride on, you know, sort of out of service rail lines and things like that. They get a permission. So this association got permission to do an excursion on the Kinghorn line. And so what they did was they ran this excursion, and it took place over a few days in July. And there was a company, I guess they hired a company to actually like record this all. And so there was a DVD, I guess they put out, but there is about an 8-minute video that's on YouTube that features highlights from this motor car excursion. And what's interesting is now that I've traveled the line, I actually know where a lot of these places are. Like I can look at it and go, yeah, that's at this place. And so there's one spot where they're coming along Orient Bay, and they come right here and they're passing along Nighthawk Charter. And you probably would notice it, but just for a split second, you can actually see a milepost marker that has a flanger sign on it, and it's the milepost 93 marker. And so I'm like, okay, when we get to that place, I'm gonna have to take a look. And what do you know? So here we go. So here is that very sign. So it was on that side. So it was on the west side. So here is your milepost 93 marker with the flanger sign tied to the post as well. And so again, it was just lying right here in the brush. So I was able to pull it up. So again, this is Nighthawk, what used to be Nighthawk Charters. And so there were, it was a business that basically ran charters. They had a big boat and they ran charters out on the lake and Orient Bay. Here you can see the old private crossing sign. And there's another little thing I want to mention about Nighthawk Charters. And so then over here, somewhere, right up here, we have, sound like a broken record here, we have yet another flanger sign, and so that's the flanger sign for this side of the crossing. I've never seen so much, and we still have some to take a look at. I've never seen so much signage on a section of grade, and so again, this is why this is so busy. Okay, so we're gonna hold up here for a second and then we're gonna get going.